Hi, today we're going to be working on Lesson 6, Collecting Rational Number-like Terms. And this is just applying everything you've learned from combining like terms, integers, and distributive property. So looking at Terry weighs 40 kilograms, Janice weighs 2 3/4 kilograms less than Terry. What is their combined weight? So I need to add Terry and Janice to find the combined weight. Terry is equal to 40 kilograms, and Janice is equal to 40 kilograms minus 2 3/4. Now I'm going to choose to combine the two 40s first, and I have 80 minus 2 3/4. At this point, I'm going to choose to decompose the 2 3/4, and I'm going to make it 80 minus 2 minus, because remember this is going to be a subtraction if you want to do plus and negative, because this minus sign goes with both parts of 2 3/4. So 80 minus 2 is 78, and then minus 3/4, so that's taking away part of one whole. So my final result is 77 1/4 kilograms is the combined weight. Now if you're confused here, I actually changed and took one away, one whole, and changed it to 4/4, so that then I was able to complete the subtraction. Next, we're working on subtracting with mixed numbers with different denominators. So my first step is going to be to change each one into an improper fraction, so it'd be easier for me to do my subtractions than using the mixed numbers. So I have two sets of 3, that'd be 6, 7, 8, minus 1 1/2 is 3/2, minus 4/5. I now need to find a common denominator, and I can do that by counting by each. And a lot of times I recommend counting by the largest to see if you come up with a number from the largest one that the other ones can use. And if I look at this, I'm able to see that the first thing that I'm going to have in common is 30. And I know that I multiply 5 times 6 to get 30. I multiply 2 times 15 and 3 times 10, which I need to know for completing this next part. So now, in order for me to convert them to equivalent fractions with common denominators, 8 times 10 is 3 times 10 minus 3 times 15, 2 times 15, minus 6 times 6 over 5 times 6. So now I have 80 thirtieths minus 45 thirtieths minus 24 thirtieths, which is equal to, here, 35 thirtieths minus 24 thirtieths equals 11 thirtieths. 1/5 plus a negative 4. In order for me to do this subtraction, I'm going to need to take one of these and actually change it. So I'm going to decompose this negative 4 to being negative 3 plus a negative, I want a denominator of 5. And if you're not sure about this part right here, just remember negative 5 over 5 would be negative 1, plus negative 3 would be negative 4. So now I am ready to continue. I'm going to start with my negative 3, and then I'm going to combine 1/5 plus a negative 5/5. So negative 3 plus a negative 4/5 is equal to 3 4/5. Now 4 3/5 multiplication is that in order to multiply, you may feel that you need to change this integer to a fraction, which divided by 1 or over 1 is the same as 4. So 4 over 1 times 3/5, multiplying straight across, is 12/5, which is equal to 2 2/5. Let's go to this last and final question. Mr. Jackson bought 1 3/5 pounds of beef. He cooked 3/4 of it for lunch. How much does he have left? So let's think about this for just a second. Now this is the total that he started with. And he cooked 3/4 of it. Do we know what 3/4 of this is? We do not know exactly how many pounds. He just split this into fourths and he used 3 of them. So if he cooked 3/4, how much is left out of cooking the whole thing? So 1 minus 3/4 would equal 1/4 is left. So I need to find out what of the whole. I need to find out what 1/4 of 1 3/5 pounds is. So 1 3/5 times 1/4. And before I continue this, I'm going to need to find that common denominator. I have a whole set of 5 plus 3 is 8/5 times 1/4. Going straight across is 8/20, which is then you can divide both of them by 4/4 equals 2/5. Here you go. I moved it up in case you were not able to see it. All right, so now we're going to move on to our next page. Rewriting expressions. So we're going back to combining those like terms. Now, in order for us to do this with fractions, there's some strategies we have to think about. And one of those strategies is, in order for me to do this, I need to look at using a common denominator. And if you notice that we also have a mixed number, so you may decide that you want to go ahead and change this to an improper fraction. So I've gone ahead and decided that I want to use the mixed number, and I'm going to find that improper fraction. I'm going to find the common denominator. So I've gone ahead and made a list here of the factors. So I found the common denominator of 36. And I've gone ahead and worked out doing the changing of these fractions to equivalent fractions with a common denominator of 36. If you need to pause and copy that down, you can do so. So my next step now is to set it up with these new denominators. So if you notice, we have it all set up with 24/36 times n minus 27/36 n plus 6/36 n plus 2 and 8/36 n. My next step is to begin combining. So I chose to combine these two, and I ended up with a -3 plus 6, and I've left this here. And now I'm adding that, 3 and 36n plus 2 and 8/36. So I'm going to be combining my fractions. So we end up with a final result of 2 and 11/36. The next thing we're going to do is I want us to take a look at finding and looking at B. So we're going to go to B. All right, kind of blocking some things out here. So if we take a look at B, I want you to notice that we actually have two variables. There are no constants here. That means numbers without a variable. So it's all I's or H's. So because there's two different variables, we do not have to have a common denominator for all of them. I is going to need a common denominator. So a common denominator. And then H will need one also. So if we start with the I's, we have 7 and we have 2, which means 14 is going to be my common denominator. So I'm going to have, and I'm going to go ahead and group these together as I rewrite it. I plus 6I. Here is going to be times 2 and times 2. So minus 6/14 I. And then here's the other one. Don't forget this operation. Plus 7/14 I. Now if we look at our H's, we see that we have a denominator of 3 and a denominator of 4, which means the least common denominator is 12. So since this has to be 12, it's going to be plus 4/12 H minus H and plus 3/12 H. And again, I have converted these fractions to have a common denominator. So I found an equivalent fraction. So from there, my first step is to take care of these like terms. So I plus 6I is 7I. I have a negative 6/14 and a positive 7/14, which equals 1/14 I. And if we combine those, that's 7 and 1/14 I. Now over here with my H's, I have a positive 4/12 H and a positive 3/12 H. So I have 7/12 H minus H. Now in order for me to do this subtraction, I'm going to have to look at changing this negative whole into a negative 12/12, which is -1. And now I'm able to combine these two fractions, which -12 and a positive 7 would leave me with a negative. So I have minus 5/12 H and 7 and 1/14 I. Let me, of course, move that so you can see it better. So here we are, and I want us to take a quick look at the top. And remember that when we started, we had the variable I and the variable H. There were no constants. Remember, those are just your numbers without a variable. So that means my end result, my standard form, will only have two terms, one with the variable H and one with the variable I. So at this time, this puts an end to the first video for lesson 6, and we'll prepare for the second video.